Today's video is sponsored by the team over at ASICmarketplace.com. With crypto mining hardware prices dropping, it's critical to find an online store you can trust with your ASIC purchases. The team at ASICmarketplace.com has you covered with some of the most competitive pricing on the market. No matter what brand you're looking for, ASIC Marketplace has it. To name just a few: Bitmain, Goldshell, WhatsMiner, IB-Link, 𝗟𝗏𝗆, JazzMiner, and many more. There are no surprises with ASIC Marketplace. The price listed on their website includes shipping. Imagine that. Finally, ASIC Marketplace takes the buying experience to the next level by accepting cryptocurrency as payment directly on their store. Go check out ASIC Marketplace today via the link in this video's description down below, as well as save $50 at checkout with the discount code TheHobbyistMiner.
What's going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, today we are moving two 30 amp 240 volts to my shed. As you guys know, right now we have three 30 amp 240 volts, and we're going to be adding more power because we're out. We need more in the shed. Room's going to be rough. We're going to have to get creative, but I think we'll make do. So let me show you what power we're moving to the shed directly. All right, we're out in our garage. Out in the garage right now, we have a 30 amp 240 volt, rocking our My Electrician meter box here. We're about 2,800 watts. It was a lot more when we had our E9 Pro that's out in the shed now. And all this equipment's going out to the shed. These two open frames are gonna go into server cases I ordered in order to add more density for the shed. We're gonna leave that unit out here just in case we ever need it. But we're going to be taking all of this, packing it up, getting creative, putting it in the shed. The PDU on the wall is going out to the shed, and I actually have two drywall panels here we're going to unscrew. It's going to give us access to get right out through that wall. Let me go down to the basement because I'm going to show you guys what we're going to disconnect power-wise in order to free up a little bit of power. So let's go ahead downstairs. All right, we are down in our mining room. It's turned into storage now, guys, and let's go ahead and take a look back in here. This is currently off but available, not being used. It's a 30 amp 240 volt. We're going to leave the meter box. We're just going to rob the PDU and also that breaker out in the panel. And then back here on this side, I know it's a mess, there's so much stuff back there in the back. We're going to turn that off. That's another 30 amp 240 volt and a PDU, and we're going to extend those to the out to the shed. So we got lots of work to do today, guys. We're going to leave these on, Evergreen and our solo miner for our Bitcoin. Those just use 120, and then our server and our QNAP down here. That we're going to leave those exactly where they are as well. We'll leave this one 30 amp 240 volt, even though it's complete overkill, because literally these are the only two things running on it, which is silly. But we got lots of work to do. I'm going to get some cameras set up, and you guys can watch progress. All right, we actually got done faster than I thought, so we're waiting on the electrician right now. So this is what I did previously myself when we ran the power out to the shed. I didn't terminate the panel, not really my comfort level. But what we did do is run 3 of our 10-2s and then 1 of the 12-2, and it runs out and down, and we took it out the side of the house here. We'll go on the other side in a minute. This is our uplink. Actually runs, as you guys can see, it goes all the way down to my basement. I had to take this one off, internet from the basement, and this is just for the garage. Just a little junction box with like an 𝗟𝗏𝗵 keystone. Just makes it easy to work on if I ever have to open it up. And then over here, this is our uplink to the shed. So I have 2 Ethernet cables running out to the shed. One's active, one's not. If one of these goes bad, all I do is open this box up and unplug it from one 𝗟𝗏𝗵 keystone and plug it into the other. So we took our power out the side here. We sealed it up good. Ethernet is completely separate from our power in the conduit. Let me run outside and I'll show you guys what we're going to be doing. But as I was talking about before, we're going to be taking, we have mining here, 1, and then we have mining 2 and mining 3. These really should be labeled like for the basement, but we're only going to be using one of them, which is that one in the direct middle, which is this guy right here. So we'll be kind of just reusing 2 of the 30 amp 240 volts. So let's run outside, I'll show you real quick. All right, out of the shed right now. Nice little brisk morning. It's like high 40s, which will be nice to work with. So we're gonna be taking 2 more of these out of the house right here. They're gonna come over and we're gonna bring them up right here, up above here. I'm gonna be working with the electrician on that. I did these previously. I'm gonna have him help me because these were an absolute disaster for me and I just never have done them before, and he knows a lot more tricks of the trade than I do. Plus, it's gonna look 10 times more professional. Let's go in the shed, I'll show you where we're gonna add these. All right, it's gonna be a tight fit. We have our 3 right here, and we're gonna cut these off. We'll rehang these somewhere else. These are these are 15 foot of our cables going to our PDUs. We'll put them off to the side, but next we're gonna put a piece of wood right here, and we're gonna put 2 of these guys right here across here. I'm probably gonna take another one of these, like put another piece of wood and anchor it right over here. Between there and here, because my 1 PDU, I actually ended up cutting the cable and it's only about like 2 feet long, 3 feet long, so I need a short run for that. These are definitely going to be crammed 100%, but we're going to bring everything in. We're going to do another junction box like we did there. That's all of the electrical cables coming in go into the junction box right there first, and then feed out to the rest of the shed. All right, back to work. I thought I'd show you guys what we're going to be using today. So we have our 10-2 100-foot cable. We're going to run 2 runs there, so 50 foot should be plenty. We have this is like flexible conduit. Is that what this is here? I love it and hate it, but it'll work. These are our 90s that we have here, and those should do the trick as well. And then other than that, we have, these are from the meter box here. Check these out. These guys will work awesome. We're gonna put these in, brand new ones here. Plenty of screws. We have these are the 𝗔𝗽𝗃 meters, as well as the 𝗟𝗃630R plugs we're gonna put in. And then we have our 1 junction box as well. All right, guys, time to get to work.
Alrighty, so we're gonna have some voiceover here for the next while, going through everything that we did. So get comfortable, grab a beverage, grab a snack. Maybe you'll learn something, because I definitely did through this process. So I had some time to kill before the electrician showed up. We got everything cleaned up, in position, ready to go. I decided to go ahead and drill a kind of conduit hole between all the studs in the wall. The previous ones were a little bit tight, so I wanted to be safe. So took advantage of that opportunity. So the electrician showed up, reviewed everything with him, took a look at everything, reviewed the panel. Everything looked really good. We kind of put together our game plan as to what we were going to do when, what was the most important. And I'll be honest with you, it's always great working with, we'll call him Mr. Electrician through the video. Really cool, laid back guy, super flexible. I mean, I'm very thankful and blessed to know someone that's willing to help and willing to learn. I try to teach you as much as I can on the crypto side, and vice versa. I learn a ton on the electrical side. So for me, I played Mr. Assistant the entire day. Took us about 3 hours to do everything from start to finish. The nice thing was we weren't creating anything new. We were just reproducing what I did and he did together months back when we originally built the shed. So this made the process super, super easy of just, okay, what are we going to do when, and how are we going to go ahead and get started? So he decided we had 1 big hole on the bottom right-hand side of the panel, a little knockout that we needed to kind of knock out there. Was kind of the last thing was available. Panel was pretty full at this point. I mean, we're using all the available breaker slots that are available here. So we decided to go ahead and knock that out, and we kind of laid out our exact path as to where everything would go exactly. Once again, I have to give the biggest shout out here and make sure that I give attention and give appreciation. I know Mr. Electrician will end up watching this video, so thank you very much for all of your help. I mean, it's a huge value to me. Most electricians would take a look at what we're doing and peace out. They would not even want to get involved. So it was really cool to have the opportunity to work with him, and he takes the time to kind of teach me along the way. So I've learned a ton. I would have never have touched anything electrical before getting involved with Mr. Electrician, and have come a long, long way. So let's go ahead and continue. So next up is we need to drill through the wall from inside the wall here outside. So right here, you can see here, went ahead and grabbed a drill and we went ahead and punched through. And that was actually the easy part, to get through the siding and the first piece of plywood. Directly behind here is a really big, thick 2x4 of some kind, and or a 2x6. And this is what took the longest to go ahead and get through there, just drilling it out. And that's exactly what we did. We used about, what did we use? About 1 1/4 bit, and just pushed through. And it took a little time, but we ended up making it way, and we punched our way through. There it was right there at the end. And we got completely through everything. This was a cool shot. Both cameras running at once. Mr. Electrician going ahead and feeding through the first set of wires. Came through no problem, which was great. I kind of pulled through the amount of length to see, okay, what exactly do we need in length? We didn't want to pull more than what we needed. I mean, the 10-2 cable is so expensive. Got it from Home Depot, and they literally had to escort me to the checkout line. That's how expensive some of this electrical copper cable is right now. So we got the rest of it fed through. First one kind of looped through everything, which worked out really, really nicely. Allowed him to go ahead and pass it through, and then, you know, made sure it was in the right place here. As I said, I'm playing Mr. Assistant. He's the guy doing all the work and knows exactly what he's doing. So I'm just trying to be helpful wherever I can, which works out nicely. So we did need to go ahead and do cable number 2. That came through nice and easy, and then he kind of pushed it through, and I just kind of passed it through all the holes and got it to the very, very end here, closest to the panel. You know, 10-2 wire is stiff. I can't imagine some of these guys that use, like, what is it, like 10 or 8 wire. That's got to be nuts, like just dealing with this here. But this worked out nicely. I fed it through all the appropriate holes. Was a little nervous pushing it through the panel here and kind of moving some cables aside. As I said, I don't deal with anything on the panel side. Any terminations, nope, I'm out. I'm not touching those. For me, I will keep everything at just running cable and moving them around and things like that. So let the professionals do the dirty work there. So on the outside here, we got all the cable run where we needed to. This is the hardest part of the entire thing. So you can kind of see Mr. Electrician is messing with that 90. That's kind of that conduit. It's a straight 90 degree. And 10-2 wire doesn't, you can't just like pass it through and then, oh, it's simple and easy. It is not fun. And that 90 was very small, but we got it in there. It worked out well. Here you can see Mr. Electrician. Every few feet, he's actually running some electrical tape, so that when we pass it through the Flux conduit, that's the gray conduit cable, it actually like stays together and works out well. Something I thought about that we didn't do, which I remember from another individual who had recommended it to me, who I'd worked with actually in telecom, which was actually use Dove soap to help it slide through and make that a little bit easier. So this was probably the hardest part, was like not only that 90, but now taking that conduit cable and like pushing through the 10-2. You can see me here struggling to do it. Dude, my forearms were shot after doing this that day. But yeah, trying to force the 10-2 cable through, it doesn't fit very, very well. So I gave it my all, then went ahead and passed it off to him and let him do it. You know, this guy does this crap every day. Insane that people do this. I'm gonna be honest with you. But he went ahead and gave it the extra muscle that was due to go ahead and push it through, because it doesn't slide through. It's not free. And if you guys are familiar with Romex is a pain in the butt and fights you all as much as possible. Gets stuck on everything it can. A tip he had given me was actually putting a lot of this stuff in the heat, out in the sun. In the heat, it makes it more malleable. In order to allow it, just kind of straighten everything out. Something I never thought about doing. So you kind of pick up on these little tips and tricks here and there. That was definitely one of them that I will keep with me in the future as we get into some of these projects. So he kind of gives it the final push to get it connected to the conduit box there, which worked out nicely. Moving on from there, onto, where things go. So now we're on the other end of it. We are through the 90 again, thankfully significantly shorter cable. We had cut our 10-2 cable, and he's just fishing it through that kind of last part there to get into the shed. And that worked out really, really well. Took some time, but he didn't have as much cable to work with. Plus, there's not a ton of room back behind that shed there. I mean, just enough to fit in there. As he had said, not fat man friendly is what it is, but just enough to get work done back behind there. So he slides in the shed, pushes it in place, and we are set and good to go. So I took on kind of cleaning things up, that assistant apprentice role here. So went ahead and screwed a screw inside of those 90 boxes, securing them to the house. Right now, they're just kind of sitting in there with the hole. Finished that up there, which worked out real nice and easy. Then went ahead and took, this is PVC cement. Man, this stuff is such a mess. Like, I give credit to these guys. And so I had to pull the conduit, the Flux conduit away a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead. This is like really runny. I thought you'd think it'd be pasty, but it's really runny. And put it around the very end of it, covering as much as I could. I really should ask Chump Change about this because he's going to, I mean, this is like right up his alley with his skill set. And then just went ahead and pushed it and shoved it in there as hard as I could to make sure that it's secure. Then what I did was went ahead and got these U-brackets. They're plastic U-brackets, which is great. Everything's plastic and rubber. You don't want to use anything metal. You don't want anything to rust. And every few feet, just adding these in here to support this conduit, keep everything in place, which worked out well. So multiple directly on the house here. And this is all that little stuff. And while I'm doing this, Mr. Electrician's in the shed actually getting the hard work done. Same thing here on the side of the shed, going ahead and getting that in there. I did some pre-drilled some holes just to make sure my screws went exactly where they were. And as you can see here, not a ton of room to work in here. But we make do, we work it out. So as I said, I pre-drill 2 holes within that 90 box, and then just go ahead and take a exterior rated screw. Everything I used was like exterior rated stainless steel or something coated so that, you know, nothing's going to rust or anything like that. Finished up here. Final touches after everything's all buttoned up is to go ahead and take some clear silicone and just run a bead of it where there's a chance of any water that would occur. Now, granted, these little boxes, they have little lids on them, and I'm not too concerned. You know, you can always take a knife and cut away for any of the silicone. But my thought was like, okay, what can I silicone, especially along the house, if any water runs along the house? Now, granted, this little area here is definitely covered for rain. So jumping inside, Mr. Electrician is inside. The cables, not the best angle here, but the cables came inside that junction box. This is what we did on the last junction box. So the nice thing is the cables, the conduit enters inside the junction box. And then what he's doing is he's adding additional 10-2 cable. That's good. You see that piece of plywood above it? Those 10-2 cables you see are going to run into there for my meter boxes. So he's actually creating a nice little junction point. So while he's working inside, I went ahead and finished outside. Now we're jumping back into the garage. So what can I do to take advantage of the time? So this is some of that silicone, expanding silicone, or not expanding silicone, expanding sealant kind of insulation that you kind of spray and then it fills that hole. That's exactly what I just used there, which worked out nicely. And then I go ahead and just decide, all right, let's go ahead and put these panels back on, drywall panels back on, get them all in place and good to go. I was like just trying to find, there's only so much room in the shed. So finding things to do that have to get done and kind of move things along. That's what really worked out well. It was like while I was working on one thing, he could be working on another, especially inside the shed, getting everything good to go. So back inside the shed, here's that progress. He finished up the junction box. He ran, so that junction box was kind of like the entry point. Everything coming into the shed goes to the junction box, that gray junction box, and then everything is tied from the junction box into these meter boxes. So that's what you see here. So he's going ahead now and doing the fun part of walking through connecting the 𝗔𝗽𝗃 meters and the 𝗟𝗟 plugs. So 10-2 cables coming in, splits off. Some of it goes in the 𝗔𝗃 meter, some of it goes in the 𝗟𝗟 plug there. And this just allows us to read our current amperage as well as our watt consumption. And I keep an eye on the watt consumption every single day. I'm reading them, I'm reviewing them, because you make one change, you never know how much watts you'd end up affecting, and if you've gone over that 80-20 rule. So this is probably the most time consuming here, just each of the little wires, making sure everything's in place properly. It doesn't help there's not a ton of room to work between this wall and the shelf. So doing well here, he's getting that kind of cleaned up and finished up here, which is nice and working out well. In the meantime, I'm kind of still inside the garage getting things cleaned up and good to go. At this point, it's really just waiting on him and his skill set here to get these wired. I know it was really funny. He actually was watching the previous video that him and I did together, putting these together just to get a little recap and reminder. Because like this isn't something that he's doing every day at all, is doing these boxes. But worked out really well. I want to give a shout out to the guys over at the Meter Box. They supplied these for us as well as the hardware, 𝗟𝗏𝗏 meters, and the L630R plugs. Guys, you can go over there and get these from the Meter Box. I'll put a link directly down below and go pick these up. These things are absolutely awesome. I have used so many of these. I mean, if I think of it now, I have 3 in my basement, 1 in the garage, that's 4, and then I have 5 in the shed now. So I have 9 of these things running right now at my house. And I mean, I don't know how people run mining rigs without having these 𝗟𝗏𝗏 meters available, because I always love keeping an eye on my watt usage. So first one's finished up, helping him out here. I got time with the second one, just kind of holding it there in place just to alleviate any of that cable retention that he's dealing with at all. Maybe I'm getting in his way, maybe I'm not, but it's kind of weird. We're kind of working both behind that rack there because there isn't a ton of room. So he's on the right side of the rack, I'm on the left side of the rack, and yeah, this is all that stuff I wish I would have done well ahead of time. Like him and I were chatting about it. It's like, man, in the future, I just need to overdo electrical more than I ever need, just so you don't have to come back to that. So if you guys are watching this and like you think you need 1, add 3. You know what I mean? Always just add way more than you ever are going to need, because you just hate to have to circle back to this again. I mean, that's the case here. It's just, you know, it would be so nice to put as much as you need and then you're done. So from there, we finish up that last box. Something we're actually talking through a little bit is that the guys from the Meter Box, you guys will probably watch this. It would be really nice if that front plate was metal and not 3D printed, because the tension on some of these cables almost bulges this out a little bit. And it would be nice if this front plate was entirely metal. And even the box, I mean, hey, if you come out with a box that's fully metal, I know we're talking a lot more difference of things, but maybe it's more expensive, maybe it's not, I don't know. But definitely that front plate being metal would be a huge home run, just with everything, just snapping everything. And it's a hard plastic at the end of the day. So having these boxes be metal also would probably add some layer of, you know, I don't know if it adds a layer of certification or just safety when it comes down to electrical and stuff. But either way, 2 boxes are done and in the books, ready to go. So what do we do now? What's next, right? Well, let's go ahead and take a look here. So jumping on, we finish up the junction box. So we got the next thing to do here is, and this is where I was talking about earlier. You see that there's little orange cables coming at the bottom. They're actually coming through the conduit. Then they're stripped back. And then the cables up top that kind of come out the top of the junction box, those are the ones that run to my meter boxes. So what he's doing is he's connecting the internal connection with the external connection. And having these junction boxes are awesome. It was actually his idea. You could see the junction box directly below. That's what we did for all the other connections. It's just a nice point of entry and then keeps things separate. So it's not just a straight through run. Keeps it clean, as well as if we ever have to get in here, you know, we have this opportunity to do it. So all set, good to go. We're ready here now for our cover. Cover's going to go on, screw these on, and then we're going to head into the shed, because our next step is to actually get things terminated at the panel, which is the most important at this point. Is, you know, let's get them terminated at the panel and then power everything up and make sure it works. So junction box is wrapped up here. One last screw and we'll jump inside the garage. So inside the garage here, Mr. Electrician is wrapping things up. I'm finishing up on the wall there, getting the screws into the drywall, which works out well. Funny story, we left the panel screws inside the wall on one of the 2x4s. Totally didn't realize it. Pulls up the wall and then went, crap, we don't have the screws. Had to take off that panel, but either way, worked out. We shared a laugh about it. So I moved, as you guys can see, I moved the smoke alarm closer to the panel now. It used to be over on the other side, closer in the mining rigs. I thought a better place would be close to that panel. just to be safe. You never know. So if you guys don't have smoke alarms around your mining gear, I definitely recommend you do. I decided to put this one near the electrical panel too, just with the amount of power that we're kind of putting through the house and everything there. So next step after he finishes things up in the breaker is getting the last amount of muscle in there and powering on. Let's jump out to the shed, and we're going to see that first power on here coming up any minute. There's the first one. There's the second one. Everything is good to go. 24 amps additionally added on each of them. And of course, the last step here, guys, is to get the panel in place and good to go. All right, take a look, guys. Job is done. Oh yeah. All right, so I do need to relabel mining 3 right and mining 2 left. I decided I'm going to go ahead and just do I have like a P labeler and just go ahead and label these and then have them match out in the shed instead of like shed 1, shed 2, shed 3. So 2 more 30 amp 240 volts have been moved to the shed. One of them, let's say, was from the garage. So this one still is available and working right here. But we're not going to be using it. So I'm going to take that equipment, move that, and then we still have this one here, which is awesome. Everything came together good. It was a lot of fun dealing in here. I should have done these with plywood, I thought about, versus just drywall, but hopefully I don't have to take that panel off again. We do have an extra link here of internet, just in case we need it for the future, that runs down to the basement. But let's head out to the shed. All right, show you guys out here real quick. So this is the one we added today. Learned so much from when I did these original 3. Piped over, comes down, comes right into the shed right there. Made sure to do some silicone on top and around it for any water. I want to snip these 2 screws that came through, and then I'll silicone over those just to make sure that no areas or opportunity for water leaks. All right, let's head in the shed. All right, the shed is a mess. We got to clean it up still. Trash everywhere. But here we have it. 2 more 30 amp 240 volts on top of our 3 up there. We can get everything up and running here. What my plan is to do is that PDU there is going to stay there. I'm going to stick another one right here. And then I'm going to do a 3rd one in here. I think that'll work out well. So here's the junction box, the new one. Here's the old one here that has the existing. So everything comes into the junction box on the other side there from the conduit. From there, it splits off and goes right into our 2 units right here, which is awesome. Super excited. There's a few things I have off now and more stuff in the shed that I do need to go ahead and get powered on. Then I can evenly distribute it so it's not all like heavy on one of those there. But guys, job completed. Super excited. This is the max amount of power I can go. That's why I'm looking at a second shed at another property. Also, a huge shout out, gotta give a shout out to Mr. Electrician. Dude, guy's awesome. Coming out, working with him, banging this out today on his Sunday morning. But yes, more details on the upcoming shed. I wanna move all of my ASICs to the shed is my goal. All these ASICs, and then I have some full-size ASICs coming. That I'll talk about that in the future. So all ASICs entirely will move to the shed, and then I'm going to be able to take my GPU rack, double it right up here, so I could double my GPU count. So my goal is all GPUs here, ASICs at the other shed, because the other shed's going to be designed differently. Exhaust is going to be a little bit differently. We're going to have some dedicated exhaust off the ASICs. Lots of really fun stuff to come. All right, I'm out. Long enough video. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Today's video is sponsored by Crypto.com. As a home crypto miner, it is crucial to have your cryptocurrency at your fingertips, and the Crypto.com app can help. Being able to send and receive cryptocurrency quickly, easily, and on the go is a must-have in 2023. The Crypto.com app allows you to utilize your cell phone as a gateway into the crypto world, no matter where you are. No matter if you're looking to buy, sell, send, or receive crypto on the go, the Crypto.com app has you covered. If you're looking to liquidate your mined crypto often, you can set your GPU mining rigs and ASIC miners to mine directly to your Crypto.com wallet, making it simple and easy to cash out quickly. Download the Crypto.com app today and give it a try. No harm in testing it out. poking around and seeing if the Crypto.com app fits your hobbyist miner needs. Guess what? Use the link in today's video description to support the Hobbyist Miner entirely free.